Hi, I'm Jeanette Roche. This is Forum Daily West. Here are some of the top stories we've been following. The Bank of Canada drops its key interest rate by a quarter point, but warns the shock of Trump's tariffs could send Canada into a recession. Plus, new data shows last year's Jasper wildfire was the second costliest in Canadian history. And it's the year of the snake, as billions around the world celebrate the Lunar New Year. Thanks so much for joining us. The Bank of Canada's latest interest rate cut will see the central bank reducing its policy rate by a quarter percentage point to 3%. The additional cut comes as the U.S. continues to threaten 25% tariffs on all Canadian imports starting in February. Canada's economic outlook is clouded by the uncertainty brought on from the tariffs, with the bank revising its GDP forecast to growth by 1.8% in 2025 and 2026. That is down from its previous projections of 2.1 and 2.3%. Governor of Canada's central bank, Tiff Macklem, says Canada's economic outlook is pushing the country into uncharted waters amid the uncertainty of tariffs.
There's a lot we don't know. We don't know what new tariffs will be imposed, when, or how long they will last. We don't know the scope of retaliatory measures or what fiscal supports will be provided. And even when we know more about what is going to happen, I do need to be clear, it's still going to be difficult to be precise about the economic impacts because we have little historical experience with tariff changes of the magnitude that the U.S. is contemplating.
The Bank of Canada says if Trump imposes the tariffs on February 1st, the shock might be large enough to send Canada into a recession. And speaking of that February 1st date, today Alberta Premier Danielle Smith made it clear that all of Canada needs to act on border security immediately prior to the February 1st deadline when Trump is believed to commence tariffs. Smith says the province sent a Black Hawk helicopter to monitor Alberta's border with Montana, along with several other measures to make good with the United States on critical border issues, such as cracking down on illegal drugs and illegal immigration, issues that Trump said were the reason for imposing tariffs if Canada does not take action.
That is why why we also sent a Fox News crew to the Coutts border today to showcase the work Alberta has been doing to secure our border, including the establishment of a new interdiction patrol team within the Alberta Sheriffs to combat drug smuggling, gun trafficking, and other illegal activities along Alberta's 298-kilometer international boundary with the United States. This interdiction team will be supported by 51 uniformed officers equipped with carbine rifles, weapons for tactical operations, 10 support staff, including dispatchers and analysts, 4 drug patrol dogs, 10 cold weather surveillance drones capable of operating in high winds with dedicated pilots, 4 narcotics analyzers to test for illicit drugs. Additionally, Alberta's government will create a 2-kilometer deep critical border zone deemed critical infrastructure, allowing sheriffs to arrest individuals attempting to cross the border illegally or traffic drugs or weapons without the need for a warrant.
Trump's Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, said on Wednesday afternoon that if Canada and Mexico act swiftly to address their border concerns, they can avoid tariffs, calling it instead an action of domestic policy. And as the deadline looms, Conservative MP for Lethbridge, Rachel Thomas, says a Canada-first approach is needed in dealing with the threats. The Conservative Party has a plan that she believes would protect Canadians while sending a clear message to the U.S.
Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party, has been really clear on how he would do that. So he would go after things that we don't need, things that we make ourselves here in Canada, things that we can buy elsewhere from other trading partners. And so in going about it in that way, what would happen is we would make sure that Canadians are protected and that they're not harmed in the process. But it would certainly send a clear message to the United States that we can't be bullied, we can't be pushed around.
Catch my full interview with MP Rachel Thomas coming up later in the program. A Regina lawyer has reached a settlement with Ticketmaster worth $6 million after filing a lawsuit against them back in 2018. The lawsuit filed by Tony Merchant accused Ticketmaster of drip pricing, where various fees were deceptively added onto the regularly priced ticket after checkout. A judge approved the formal settlement in December, and Ticketmaster will begin reimbursing customers up to $45 for those who bought tickets between January 1st and June 30th of 2018. As Canadians brace for tariffs, the Canadian Chamber of Commerce has been in discussion with their chambers across the country. The Chamber of Commerce here in Lethbridge says they are watching closely over whatever may happen, but are continuing to communicate with their U.S. counterparts. BCN's Landon Hickok has more on that story.
According to the Canada-United States Trade Tracker on the Canadian Chamber's Business Data Lab website, $3.6 billion of trade is passed along the border on a daily basis. In Alberta, $133 billion in mineral products, particularly oil and natural gas, was shipped to the U.S. in 2023. Cindy Crane of the local Chamber of Commerce is in discussion with chambers across the country in anticipation for Saturday, when the tariffs are expected to drop.
We've been working with the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, and we actually had a pan-Canadian forum on Monday morning and reviewed what the possibilities could arise, right? Because we still are not sure. So if you think about where we're located, our border right on down to Great Falls, we have a close relationship with our Montana Chamber partners, but we're really looking at it from an Alberta to Montana's proposition rather than just say a Lethbridge and Great Falls. If we do dollar for dollar tariffs, they're going to have problems as well. They're going to be affected. So it's their concern just as much as we're concerned. And with uncertainty, where do we go?
The potential tariffs could cost each Canadian $1,900 if retaliatory measures are implemented alongside. But Crane says it's not just tariffs abroad they need to focus on, but cooperation within our borders.
There is some hesitation, but we're not just worried about trades right now. We're also worried about what's going on with our federal government. We don't have one in play really right now. And so concerns over that, concerns over delay of not having anything really known till March, and then concerns about what will go then. So the other conversations we've been having a lot on is interprovincial trade. Let's strengthen that. Let's not make that messy. We're actually at our board meeting tomorrow. We're going over an interprovincial policy on what we can do as this province to be a real leader in the business sector on making sure supply chain is going from one end of our country to the other end of the country, because there's so much potential that made in Canada to stay in Canada, and we just haven't done that. So that is a priority.
For Birch City News, I'm Landon Hickok.
Thank you, Landon. And Trump's tariffs seem to also be one of the key issues as Ontario voters get ready to head to the polls in a rare winter election. And as the Canadian Press reports, there are 3 key issues in this election campaign. Here is Brenda Molina-Navida.
For Doug Ford, Trump and tariffs will be the top issue of the campaign and the one he is likely to focus on. And he likely hopes voters will focus on it too. Amid political chaos in Ottawa, the provincial leader has been at the forefront of Canada's pushback as Trump threatens 25% tariffs on Canadian goods. He has said that American tariffs will deeply hurt Ontario's economy, in particular the auto sector. And he expects he would have to spend tens of billions of dollars to counter those effects. The opposition parties say they would support such stimulus measures, rendering an election unnecessary. Healthcare is a perennial election issue, and this campaign promises to be no different. Though where in recent elections there has been a lot of talk about hallway healthcare and emergency medicine, the need for more family doctors is expected to dominate this time. The Ontario College of Family Physicians has estimated that 2.5 million people in the province do not have a family doctor, and that number is only expected to grow. Housing was top of mind during the 2022 election campaign, with the Progressive Conservatives vowing to build 1.5 million homes in 10 years. After forming government, they continued to make it a top issue, even as the agenda became derailed by the Greenbelt scandal, subsequent ministerial resignations, and reversals of housing policies.
In other news, the Insurance Bureau of Canada says a ferocious wildfire that swept through Jasper, Alberta last summer caused an estimated $1.2 billion in insurance damages. That's up from an initial estimate of $880 million, citing data from analysis firm Cat IQ. The Bureau says the Jasper blaze was the second costliest fire event in Canadian history. Flames destroyed a third of the Rocky Mountain community, and the Bureau says more than 92% of those properties now have an approved demolition permit from Parks Canada. The City of Calgary says shovels will be hitting the ground this year on a multi-billion-dollar light rail transit project connecting the city's southeast to downtown. City Council voted to move forward with the Green Line after working out a new alignment with the province. The United Conservative Party government had said it would pull its $1.5 billion in funding if changes weren't made to a previous version that would have tunneled under downtown run a shorter distance. Alberta opposition NDP leader Naheed Nenshi calls it a, quote, exceptionally sad day, saying the approved route ignores years of earlier study and would have next to no ridership. Here in Lethbridge, nearly $100,000 has been raised so far to support the Bicude family after their 3 small children were struck by a vehicle on the way to school last week. Akira Coel, the organizer of the fundraiser on behalf of Mark Bicude, has given updates about the health of the children, who, according to Coel, had already crossed the road when someone struck them and that a bystander called 911. BCN reached out to Coel, who also said the surgeries were successful for both Marcus, aged 14, and Juliana, aged 8. Juliana's surgery ran into a few complications, but she and Marcus are slowly healing. Coel shared on social media that there is a Facebook account that she is pretending to be hers. She also clarified that Coel has not sent messages to anyone asking for money or personal information and encouraged those who want to donate to use the GoFundMe account. Valentine's Day is approaching quickly, and with it, the time to remember that we need to give and receive love. For this reason, Interfaith Food Bank is launching the Romance Raffle Initiative, which seeks to raise funds to put food on the table of those in need. The CEO for Interfaith Food Bank, Danielle McIntyre, says those who participate by purchasing tickets can win prizes ranging from a jacuzzi suite and dinner to a diamond ring. McIntyre gives more details about the raffle, valued at nearly $8,000.
We are selling tickets online at $20 a piece, or 3 for $50, and all of the proceeds will directly support Interfaith Food Bank. The most valuable part of the package is obviously this beautiful diamond ring, but we've also coupled it with a stay at the Salmon Signature Lodge in a nice jacuzzi suite and dinner at the Italian table, as well as a few other nice little things to make the night romantic. We are going to need to be fundraising all year. We're expecting our demand to stay high, if not increase by about another 15%. We're also projecting to see food costs increasing between 3 to 5%. So raising money is our top priority. And so this is our first big fundraiser of the year, and we're looking forward to people participating. We are projecting to raise at least an extra $100,000 this year, more than we did last year. Our total budget that we're hoping to bring in is over $1.7 million.
McIntyre says 250 tickets for $20 or packages of 300 tickets for $50 are available. In international news, Eastern Congo rebels claim they have captured a key city. The Associated Press explains that forces of the Democratic Republic of Congo were losing control of the key city of Goma on Wednesday after rebel groups backed by Rwanda took over the airport and shared plans to set up a new administration.
Congo's eastern capital of Goma, a strategic city at the heart of a mineral-rich region, was plunged into chaos this week after a rebel group claimed control of the city on Monday. Goma and surrounding towns have long served as a refuge for those fleeing the surrounding conflict, which has raged for decades. Congo alleges that the Rwanda-backed rebels, known as M23, want to take control of the country's natural resources. But Rwanda says that Congo is protecting perpetrators of the 1994 genocide who fled into Congo years ago fearing reprisals. Gaining control of eastern Congo for Rwanda and M23 is seen as an attempt to protect the Tutsi population in the region. M23 is one of the many groups vying for power in eastern Congo. Briefly gaining control of Goma in 2012, the group launched another offensive in 2022 and took several key towns in recent weeks. Fighting reached Goma by Sunday, and videos circulating on social networks Monday showed soldiers said to be M23 walking in the streets. The city was calm Wednesday, while pockets of town continue to be controlled by the Congolese army. In others, M23 soldiers are circulating freely and seem to be cementing their control over Goma.
A recent report from online pet care marketplace, Rover.com, says Canadian pet parents feel their dogs' and cats' costs were rising faster than inflation on human groceries. While any good owner wants to give their pet the best, experts say it shouldn't mean putting yourself in debt. That is your Forum Daily West report. I'm Jeanette Roche. Thanks so much for watching.